All right. So welcome everybody. We have a little change of plans tonight, as you might or not have seen from the revised newsletter and some of the WhatsApp stuff. But we're going to have a grid postdoc guy come and talk to us, and he is going to come and talk to us in one of the February sessions, but he was feeling very much under the weather. So tonight we're going to have Karim Moti talk to us about what he and Juan Carlo are doing. And for those of you that were at the December immersion, he also got to present as part of the flash talk of what people are doing with their HBAP experience and knowledge. And so he's going to talk to us of that. So, but let's start with just a reminder of our mission. Oh, and also, sorry, by the way, Todd is most likely not going to make it because of the very exciting thing we talked about last week, which is he is one of the sponsors and judges at the Earth AI Hackathon, and the final judging, the finalists are presenting tonight, and he is part of the judging for that. So he's actually in Toronto judging right now, so he's not going to be able to make it, but pretty exciting that he's doing that. All right, so, you know, just a review of our mission, that we really want to foster and fortify this innovation and entrepreneur community coming out of HBAP, and can be and should be beyond HBAP. So always invite friends and people that you think might love to be part of it. And so really our mission is to provide everybody with the tools, the knowledge, the leadership, and the confidence necessary to create and grow business from the ground up, whether it's within a company that you're already part of or with a startup. They're both applicable. Okay. And of course, there's a bunch of different ways that you can join the community. Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No.
I don't know which.
That's okay. I just go back one.
Go back one. Thanks.
Yeah. Yep. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can stay in touch. So we have a website you can see there. We also have a YouTube channel where when we get permission from the speakers, they can, you can see their presentation up on the YouTube. We have a newsletter. So, and we'll send out the way to sign up for the newsletter. We have a Slack channel, which is under entrepreneurship. And just always think about and bring people you think might be interested in hearing what's going on in this community. And then just a reminder, unless the presenter says otherwise, we are posting the recordings publicly on YouTube. All right, thanks, Ashley. So our code of conduct, right? So really fundamentally, what we're creating here is a space for people to come and teach us and, you know, learn from us, and also a place where if we want to test out an idea or get some feedback on the stuff that we're working on, we want to create that kind of safe environment where everybody's welcome, and it's an experience of collaboration, confidentiality, and trust. And therefore, all rights are reserved by the presenter unless they tell us otherwise. And of course, we also abide by the Francis Fry 5-to-1 ratio as modified by Kelly Kimball, which is basically just give positive feedback rather than doing any chart feedback, because a lot of data shows that that's the best way for people to learn and take advantage of any feedback that they receive. And again, no personal recording of our sessions. We have very important and strict rules about sharing of information. And then, as always, if there's something that you want to talk about, but you're worried about confidentiality or conflict of interest, just reach out to any of the three of us, Todd, Ashley, or me, and we will help you work it through. Okay, so today it's not going to be Andy. So Andy is the postdoc from GRID. He's going to be coming in February, like I said. So it's going to be Karim Moti. And then next week we have a really cool founder coming, founder of Citrix. And what they do is really create ways to very rapidly develop AI-based products. That's the purpose of his startup. And then the end of the month, we have Karen Nolan, who is the CEO and founder of Mappy, which creates really cool customized solutions for what's going on in venues. So she's got one that's called Ski Mappy. And so you can go in and learn about, interactively learn about what's happening at a ski resort, but also give feedback and learn all the different possibilities from the standpoint of food or entertainment or all those things. So that'll be super cool too. And then we'll have Andy sometime in February, and then we are going to have a workshop on how do you actually build GPTs, right? You now are able to do that on quite a few of the generative AI companies, and so Todd's going to lead a workshop on how to do that. And we may have something else around the evaluation of dating apps on that day too, since it is Valentine's Day. So lots of cool stuff coming up. So now we'll just do breakout rooms for a little bit. Most of you know that the play here. So just talk about, if you don't know each other already, who are you and what are you looking to do and how can I help you? So now Ashley's going to put us into breakout rooms.
Hey there.
I'm not sure I've sent you in long enough, Kelly.
I was in, but nobody was there.
Sorry.
I got lonely.
We might have to redo because baby Oliver joined me right when I was setting it up, and I apologize.
Oh, was you and I?
Hmm?
Was it you and I in number 10?
Let's check. It may have been, but then I had a third guest.
Okay.
I'm sorry. My mic had no, apparently I didn't allow my phone to access my mic, so I couldn't hear you guys. Oh, I could hear you. You couldn't hear me.
Well, we can hear you now.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, Kelly, I know you from our WhatsApp group. You always post to yours. Awesome. And then Susan, you and I, we go back. It's so good to see you. Well, hear you. My name is Kay Homa. I have had classes with some of you, but Ashley, I don't know if I have had classes with you. Your name doesn't ring a bell. And we lost Susan too. What do? I work. Let me just see the questions. So, I was one of the earlier cohorts. Loved every minute of it. I actually really miss our classes, but I couldn't join the December, unfortunately, because I had a lot of work with the clients. I work as a data consultant, so SAP implementation, all that lovely stuff. And I just honestly join the startups because I want to know who's up to what and what kind of programs are happening and what kind of new technologies are being worked with. Really interested in AI. Like I'm an avid ChatGPT user. Not ashamed to say that. I do a lot of my presentations using it. I don't have anything that I'm looking for help with. Just lovely just to see people. I usually just join when I can.
And which cohort were you in, Kay?
7.
7. Oh, so you go way back.
Yes, yeah, we were one of them. I think but I had to graduate because of the COVID thing. I had to graduate later, so I came to that after COVID graduation. You know, the one right after that. Lovely. Oh, it was so nice. Yeah. What cohort were you? I know I see you on WhatsApp a lot, so I feel like I've had classes with you, but
Yeah, no, I was at 11 and I went
Okay.
full time. So I caught a lot of people, but I didn't. So I was only there for 9 months. But because of COVID, I had to rush through it because I had to get back to during COVID, my job in my company is basically to go to all of our offices and be with people, but couldn't do that during COVID. So it gave me the opportunity to take some time off. And,
Okay.
so I did as fast as I possibly could. And yeah, but I graduated, I think 2.5 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, been a while. Been a long time. I was younger when I started this journey.
I think we all.
Now look what happened. Yeah.
I just dyed blonde and that's it.
That's what I did. This is an antique one. I did the,
You
kind of-
you went all platinum.
I did. I made that. I went from pure brown, and young to this. I just decided I would look 40 years older than I really am.
Yeah, look good. You look good. Ashley, what cohort are you in?
Cohort 3.
So, okay. Yeah. So you were way ahead of me then. I took extra long. I'm not gonna lie. I took my sweet time. So I think I crossed paths with like 4 cohorts or something. So from 7 onwards.
Hey, Divya. Hey, Cesar.
Hey,
think
Caesar,
people are
sorry,
coming.
that's what
Hello,
happened.
everyone.
I was in the middle of explaining something to Caesar. I was explaining equity crowdfunding, and then I just came off the chat room. I am so sorry, Caesar.
Okay. No,
Did
you
it give you a warning, Divya?
And I think I clicked on the warning thing instead of
Okay.
but I think I went to like cancel it, and then by mistake I think I clicked the thing.
I was
So
gonna-
you hung up on Cesar. That's nice. Very nice.
Sorry, I apologize.
She was telling me all her secrets, and that was just better to leave.
The big one. The big one was coming up.
Exactly. There's all this right when the secret was out. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Nope. Looked like everybody got the message.
Oh, I see, Divya. That's why you came back first. Okay. Welcome back, everyone.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Can you, Ashley, can you just tell me when folks are back, and then I will introduce Karim, and then we can go.
Absolutely. We have 27 back in the room, Susan, and we were at 28. So I think you can go ahead.
Okay, awesome. But before I introduce Karim, just a reminder, there's going to be a survey at the end. It's like 5 simple questions. It's just, we're always gathering data, of course, being HBAPers, about, what worked, what did you like, what didn't you like, and other ideas that you want us to look into covering on the sessions in the future. All right. So, and I'm just always going to check in to see if you can still hear me. So you can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Karim Moti. So HBAPer, graduated from cohort 5 in September of 2020. And and this happens a lot. This is super cool. During HBAP, he met Juan Carlos, a fellow HBAPer, and they have joined forces and created a company called DebtFreedom USA, which they are working together with DebtFreedom USA, which Juan Carlos created and started in 2017. And what DebtFreedom USA does is it provides debt relief solutions to the Hispanic community in the U.S. through financial services and education. And what their goal was is really to create a business that was heavy marketing focused, but then using analytics to really scale and grow the business. So Karim is a chemical engineer with a specialization in computer process control. And he's been using AI for a very long time, and that was from the University of Alberta, an MBA from the Imperial College Business School. December 2020, also became an HBAPer. And his background is in enterprise software solutions, business transformation, and consulting. So as is our tradition, if everybody can unmute and give Karim a hearty round of applause, and then we'll go for it.
Yay!
Yay! Awesome. All right, so Karim.
Okay. All right. I am going to share my screen. Okay. All right. I think everyone can see the right screen. I have a couple screens going, so it should say Debt Freedom. Does everyone see that screen? Okay, perfect. Okay. And I was fortunate to be able to present at the I'm sure we called it an HBAP graduation event immersion that we had just in December. And 5 minutes is not enough time to really explain the nitty-gritty of a business and the startups and a startup. And so I've been doing startups for a number of years, and it's something that a lot of people have to do a transition. Some roll into it automatically in terms of becoming an entrepreneur and getting involved with startups, and some are in the corporate world or in a different vein, and they actually go into startups as later on in their career. And I'm the latter. Sorry, there's a little bit of background noise. Okay. All right. Everyone here okay?
Yeah, a little background noise, but it's okay. But we're okay. We can.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So, so as everyone has some phenomenal experiences in HBAP, one of my experiences was meeting Juan Carlos, who's now my current business partner. And, we may meet some fantastic people in the journey of HBAP, and you don't really understand what the value of network effects are, right? What the value of the different networks that you get involved with and how the impact is. And so I'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this. So the company was actually established in 2008, and it's a debt relief company. And we're 100% dedicated to the underserved Hispanic community. Now, Juan Carlos actually acquired the company in 2017. So he's lives in the Dominican Republic and he lives in the U.S. And so he's a dual resident. And I met him during the pandemic because as everyone went into lockdown, I was in the Dominican Republic on vacation, and I had a trip to Europe because I was going to business school at the same time I was doing my HBAP. And what ended up happening is all my my classes in London, and I had a class in Tel Aviv, and they all got canceled a bit early. And so I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, well, I wasn't planning to go back home. Let me see what happens, and because everyone was freaking out at home. This is March 2020, and so I said, okay, let me just sit tight. I was planning to fly to fly to London on March 17th. And I thought, okay, well, let's see what happens over the next couple of days. Well, March 18th, they shut down the airport in the Dominican Republic. And I thought, okay, they're going to open it up in a few days, you know, a week, 2 weeks. And coincidentally, I lost my luggage on the way to the Dominican Republic. So I didn't have, I had a carry on and I didn't have any real luggage. And, you know, I talked to the airline and the airline said, oh yeah, don't worry, you know, you'll maybe get your luggage in May, June. And I'm saying, what are you talking about? It's going to be done in a couple of weeks. And so the airline knew that this wasn't going to be a short stint. And so I ended up in the Dominican Republic, and I thought, okay, what am I going to do? You know, so of course I looked around and found a resort on the beach, and it was the best pandemic ever, let me tell you. And while I was there, you know, what I did was, and I was staying at a resort that was like made for 5,000 people, but there's only 30 of us stranded tourists there. And so, you know, we still had our HBAP classes. I was still had my business school classes. And so I ended up continuing to do the studies while I was on the island there. And, you know, what I would do is make a point of having, I'd go on the Zoom classes and make a point of having the palm trees in the background and then the ocean and so forth. And one day I'm looking and I see someone else with palm trees in the background. And so I private message them, and it's Juan Carlos. And he goes, yeah. I go, where are you? He goes, I'm in the Dominican Republic. And I go, no way, I'm in the Dominican Republic. So he goes, okay, let's arrange to meet. So we ended up meeting while we were in HBAP. And you know, I was saying, okay, I'm looking for a new opportunity once HBAP is done. And he goes, well, you know, let me see, you know, I might have some suggestions and so forth. So we kind of said, okay, well, let's see how things play out. And we became friends during HBAP. We were in the same study group and so forth. And so he was telling me about his company and how he had actually got involved with it and where things were going. And so during you know, what I have to say is COVID caused everything, and HBAP changed everything. And one of the things that happened was after we finished HBAP, Juan Carlos called me and said, hey, look, can you come and do some consulting? Because that's what I used to do is high level consulting with the CEO or the executive teams, and put together 5-year strategy plans of how a company needed to transform from a digital transformation standpoint. He said, okay, well, I have this company. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. And he goes, come and do a little bit of consulting for me and help me try to figure out where this company will go. And so I got involved. And as we were going through this, we determined that there was a number of changes that had to be made, because the company was, before, there were some regulations that you have to follow. And because everything became online, no one wanted to come and visit the storefront anymore. You know, a different set of regulations and rules applied. And so he asked, hey, can you help me out? I want to be able to transform the business so that we can be fully servicing clients, not just in the Eastern Seaboard and all of the offices, but across the US and see what we can do. And so then we sat down and we created this vision of the company and said, okay, well, there's 52 million Latinos in the US. And right now, DebtFreedom was just servicing a very small portion of it. And hey, how do we get to them? And so, you know, Juan Carlos has always been doing, you know, training or educational courses or videos and so forth. And so we started looking at different platforms and got involved with YouTube and establishing a platform. And we started that platform in about August 2021. And we had no idea how well the platform would do, or how important and crucial it was, and how it filled a void for many people who were looking for information as well as to be entertained. And so, you know, I talk about the value of networks. We talk about YouTube. YouTube is a phenomenal network, And we started off just having a few episodes, 1 episode a week, to a point where at the peak we were doing 6 episodes a week, and we were getting approximately 4 million views a month of individuals watching the show. And it's very much of a podcast type show. You have 4 or 5 people a guest, and you get good collaboration, and some of the stuff is salacious, some of the stuff is educational, and so the content, content is king, and how do you keep the people engaged and so forth. The other network we are all familiar with is the HBAP network, and how the value of that network and getting access to people who have done certain things and consulting them is very important. The other one was the Hispanic network, and there was as we talk about 52 million Latinos, we know that there's a community there that's underserved, and they have $20 million. Yes.
Let's whoever not on mute to mute themselves. I really want to focus on you. Please.
I think it's Susan. Susan, you're not muted.
Okay. I think she is now. Okay. All right. Perfect. And so, the one of the things that we looked at is we wanted to be a bit of a disruptor, and disruption is defined by, going in and tackling a underserved market and being able to provide them a service that is at a much lower cost or price point. And so we looked at how do we become a bit of a disruptor in the industry, and how do we service this underserved community who has a lot of banking issues, has a lot of financial issues, is not as well educated, may have a lot of language issues because a lot of the documentation is in English versus Spanish. A lot of there's a strong fear of the legal community when you get into debts and getting sued. Everyone has the fear of getting sued, even if you're not Spanish. But definitely, if you're going to get sued and you don't have the command of the English language and you're struggling, how are you going to be able to go to court and manage those situations? And that's what we determined is that we had a choice to be able to branch out and go to the English market, but we said, hey, we can split our marketing dollars, we can split our focus, but what is going to cause the biggest bang and biggest benefit, and how do we actually become a disruptor? And so we decided that we were going to focus on the Hispanic community and service the underserved. So, what we ended up doing is we started this free online financial literacy, where we have 70 courses that we provide. People come to us, they'll get a login. It's an LMS that we can actually monitor and see which courses resonate with them. And the courses are basic finance, from opening a checking account to cryptocurrency. So we have it both in English and Spanish. So it was something that we had pushed hard for. And I never really talked about the name of the show, and the name of the show is Finances con Humor, which means humor with finances. And we also have another brand which is just purely educational called Salud Financiera, which is financial health. And both of those seem to resonate very well with the audience. And obviously you can see that from the views and also the lead generation. Now, the importance of YouTube to the company is that this became a marketing channel where 40 to 60% of the leads would enroll in our program. And if anyone's done marketing before, 40% closure rate is unheard of. Usually you're at 2%, maybe 5%, but we were getting a very, very, very high adoption rate to the program, and the credibility that was offered, because they could have they could watch the show on a routine basis, on a regular basis, was phenomenal. It was a strategy that really worked well. All right. So as we started looking at this, And Juan Carlos and I had many discussions and many dinners together and trying to figure out a plan and how do we map this out. And one of the things we both decided is we wanted to make sure that we took advantage of our HBAP training and how we implemented it so that we weren't just running a business, but we were trying to look at how do we take some of the tools, some of the learnings, and how do we use it to scale the business and scale it quickly and efficiently, and how do we do it? So one of the things that we had looked at was labor. When I first met Juan Carlos and we were looking at it, his offices, he had an office in Orlando and he had some a sales team in the Dominican Republic, and we looked at it and said, okay, if we're going to really grow this, we really need to near shore all the resources, put all the resources in the Dominican Republic and relocate them. We still have some U.S. jobs from a financial reporting, compliance, the various things. We'll be using consultants of the U.S. And what we want to be able to do is the ability to access talent who's native Spanish speakers, who are young, energetic, used to maybe a call center environment, used to doing telesales. We want to be able to tap into that pool. And we also want to be close in terms of time zones so that we can definitely have good overlap for time zones with our segment, with the market. And so we did a whole analysis of where all the Hispanics live and going in and digging deep into where do we want to market and target. And from a marketing standpoint, you're looking at driving your cost per lead down, your customer acquisition costs down, increasing your conversions and figuring out your customer profile. And sometimes, it's not as easy as it sounds as to figure out who your customers are, because you want to understand how and the value of digital marketing is that you can really target your message, but you have to figure out who the message resonates with. We initially started with a segment that said, okay, 30 to 60 years old, male or female, Hispanic, English as their second language. And what we're finding is that the customer profiles are clustered. They're not really just that segment. It's a smaller segments within the larger segment, within the larger classification. And so until you get a lot of data, you don't really understand who your customers are. That's one of the things that we definitely found. From a sales perspective, we want to monitor performance. We wanted to do forecasting, being able to predict where our sales were going to come from, what states did we need to spend our marketing, so that what you can make sure is that the sales and the marketing are well tied together to maximize the return. And I'll talk about a little bit more on some of the metrics that we came across with marketing. From a customer service standpoint, looking at the customer experience more so than the customer service, and looking at the engagement rate. How do you retain customers? How do you look at your workforce loading? How many agents do you need to be able to service your customer base? Determining all of that. All of that is based on data. We have tons and tons of data that we have established, and we're just continuously generating data that we're taking, we're analyzing, and I'll talk a little bit about the infrastructure here in a second. And then our business, the way it works is that someone comes in and says, hey, I have a problem, and we try to find a solution that fits them, and we allow them to utilize their own funds to be able to solve their problem. So we have them put funds into an escrow account, which is in the client's name, all FDIC insured. This industry is fairly heavily regulated, and what you want to be able to do is be able to give the clients a better result than expected. And so what you're looking at is, how do you continue to have deal flow? Because we only earn money once we have a successful negotiation and the client starts paying the creditor off on funds they owe. And so we actually carry a customer initially for about 9 months to before we actually earn the first dime. So there's a huge investment of dollars, and the ability to understand how quick you can negotiate based on historical deals, as well as based on looking at doing a number of different scenarios of simulation and modeling, and so that you can increase the velocity of money, so that you can allow that money to come into the organization as earned revenue, so that you can then grow the organization and reinvest the funds so that you can scale. And then from the back office standpoint, this is really some of the key courses in HBAP. When I was when we were in HBAP and we were learning SQL, I was like, oh my gosh, why are we learning SQL? Let me tell you, I write so much SQL nowadays. We went from a infrastructure where we have only started with about 200 clients in September 2021. And with 200 clients, you have a little bit of data. We started using Excel, and I found Excel. I kept having issues with Excel because I wouldn't save the file. I'd close my laptop, and then I'd corrupt my file, and so forth. And I said, there's got to be something better than this. So I started moved over to Google and the whole Google platform, where everything gets saved instantly. And as we were starting to grow, what I found is that we had more and more data, we had more and more sheets, Google Sheets, and more calculations, and we were able to do a lot of things until we got to a point where all of a sudden I broke Google Sheets. So I didn't realize this, and I didn't even think that there was a limit, but there's a limit. It's 5 million cells. When you have more than 5 million cells of data in a spreadsheet, it breaks. And we got to 5 million cells. Probably we started seeing definite degradation in performance year and a half into the business, because we were collecting so much data, we were analyzing it, we're looking at how to tweak it, what do we need to do. And so what we ended up doing is we went to Google BigQuery, and we took all of the data, where I have the data uploading from all of our different databases, our CRMs, and our phone system, and some of the manual data entry every hour. And it gets uploaded into Google BigQuery. And then we utilize Looker, which is an equivalent to Tableau, or some of the other tools that we used in HBAP, and creating the dashboards. But what I found is that a lot of the analysis, you still have to do a bunch of analysis and bringing it back in Google Sheets, but in a very efficient manner, so that you're doing a lot more processing up in the cloud. You're having all of the basic calculations, and what you're doing is you're creating views of data, and then you're taking those views of data and you're actually analyzing the views, or running algorithms on the views, instead of having heavy processing within on the desktop. You're having it all done in the cloud. And I thought, Google BigQuery is going to be expensive and so forth, and we pay approximately $10 a month for the processing, because even though I think we have a lot of data, we don't, compared to a lot of Google's clients. We will eventually get into a point where we're going to be spending, hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars a month on the data infrastructure. But what I also found is that we're really not just a services company. As we're going through this, we're really a fintech, and trying to change the customer experience so that you understand when a customer clicked on an ad, what ad they clicked on, how many times they visited your website, how frequently, or what conversation they had, what mode of communication, whether it was a chat bot, or whether it was through WhatsApp, or an SMS, or an email, or an inquiry on the website, and tracking all of this and seeing how often they came back to ask questions, or to just visit the site, and then looking at as they come in and how many times it took them to enroll them, and what's their behavior and pattern during the time they're in the program. And those are all of the things that we've been building, and we're getting to the point where we are close to rolling out, where when a client enrolls with us, we actually take all of their, we connect all of their bank accounts data into the infrastructure, and we're able to extract all their transactional data. So we get a budget as part of our onboarding process with them, as a part of our enrollment process. And we can now take that data, the real-time spend, and we can match it to their budget. And we can help them and actually help them manage their finances. We can monitor their credit on a monthly basis and look at all of these things that we're starting to combine. We're in March, we're starting to offer bank accounts and secure debit cards that are branded under DebtFreedom, and be able to help solve more of a problem. What we started looking at is, how do we get to a point where we understand the client so well that we don't make them just a client for a 3-year program. Normally that's how long they're with us, but how do we make them a client for life, getting them into a bank account that's a little more sticky, credit card, a secured credit card, help them rebuild their credit, not repair their credit, but rebuild their credit. And how do we give them more, how do we have more opportunities to help them by educating them and being more of their partner and guide, and provide them guidance through their whole debt journey and their whole financial journey in life. Okay, and that's where we've really determined that we're really a fintech, and we are going to be very progressive in technology. And I'll show you here later our tech stack. Our tech stack is about 76 applications that we utilize on a daily basis, and it's continually growing as we look at how to service the customer better, how to manage the data. And a lot of those different applications, we take the data and we feed it up into Google BigQuery. Some of the data I don't know what to do with yet, but I know we will figure out a solution as we start looking at the data and building models and so forth. All right, and then from an HR perspective, I know that I'm sorry, I forget her name, but there was a discussion on the startups, and one of the ladies who did a number of startups, she said, "Oh, you don't need a HRIS system, a human resources information system, until you're at least 50 people." And what I've found is that the cost of a system like that is negligible to the value to be able to manage your employees. I brought that system in when we were about 25 employees, and the ability to keep information, to be able to manage things, it actually has backed out the need for another employee, in HR, because we have all the data very well organized and so forth. And so what we're looking at is, how do you use systems like that to improve the productivity of the team? Okay, and how do you increase the engagement of the team in terms of what do they do, and the performance of the team, and how do they provide a better customer experience for all of our customers, right? And what we can find is that regular coaching. So we coach now. We've implemented a culture of coaching, and so we coach every agent once a week, a minimum of once a week, which could be maybe 2 sessions or 1 session once a week. And we look at doing quarterly performance review, and we look at how we're going to be training to be able to increase their engagement. So we're looking at 2 hours of training per employee per week. And it's a very large commitment, but we're trying to reinvest and make sure that at the end of the day, our costs are marketing and our costs are HR. Everything else is nominal. Okay, and in terms of the business, rent, all of the applications all the SaaS applications, it's really what we spend on marketing, which is close to 50% of our budget, and about 20 to 30% of our budget is our labor force. So all of the tools and systems are what we've determined that really will help us improve the efficiency and scalability. So if we can look at how to increase and have an additional resource in each department just available for the growth, but we look at how do we improve the efficiency. So for example, one of the things that we implemented is Zapier. I don't know how many on the phone on the webinar here are familiar with Zapier. It's a simple automation tool. You know, you can take data from here, you can take it from Google Sheets, and you can send emails out. You can take it from an email and create a Google Sheet. You can send it from databases or marketing sources, and you can distribute data all over the place. And what we started off with, just a few zaps is what they call them, and we're now at about 50,000 zaps a month, and we're finding new uses for this. Now, each zap, if you look at it, maybe saves about 2 minutes of productivity, okay? Because all of a sudden you don't have a human touching a piece of data and transferring it to somewhere else. You have all of these systems in unison where, someone puts in a lead into a landing page on a website. The lead comes, it comes to you, it gets written into a Google Sheet on a line item, it's taken from there, it's emailed, it's put into our CRM automatically, posted through a webhook, it's posted into our dialer. And so we know that within 1 minute of someone, less than 1 minute of someone putting in a lead into a web page, that the dialer will be calling them, and the dialer works autonomously to the agent. And as long as there's agents who are plugged in, as soon as the dialer connects to the client and the client answers, or the phone is ringing and the client's going to answer, it connects it to an agent. So you get rid of a whole human aspect. And what we've calculated to date is that we've backed out 10 full-time equivalents just using some of these automation tools. Okay, so we would have had to have 10 more people who were just doing manual data entry or data movements, okay, and we've been able to solve it. And the package costs $300 a month to us, right? And I can say the test of the tremendous value of the benefit of the package. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide. Now, we learned that data is the true storyteller. And so I want to kind of highlight some of these things, and then we'll open up to any questions, and people can ask some questions. And so if we look at it, we started off with about 1,000 contacts, 200 customers and 1,000 contacts. We weren't even collecting email addresses when we first started. And now, actually, I just looked today, we're over 60,000 contacts. And so what we've found is a way to organically grow. Some of it is not really truly organic because it's through paid through paid advertising, through Facebook ads or Instagram or other methods, Google AdWords, but we're growing our marketing database because people are coming to us. We're not buying lists. We're generating need through our ads, and that's key. I put 10 million. It's actually 5 million that breaks Google Sheets, and 10 million it doesn't even calculate. One of the things that we learned, and we talk about it in HBAP, but we found as we were loading all of the data sources into Google BigQuery, that all of our queries would break continuously. And that, for example, someone would enter a date incorrectly and they didn't make it a date, it became a text string. Well, we didn't realize this, but without proper error checking, Google BigQuery changes the whole column to a text string if you find one text value. And so all of a sudden, if you have queries, all the queries break. And we kept breaking these queries, and we kept finding a lot of data quality issues. And this was actually one of the reasons why I looked at Zapier and taking all of the people out of the process so that there was as little data entry as possible that wasn't validated. right? It was validated through the entry into a CRM. It was validated through another mean from one electronic system to another, but we were trying to get rid of the whole effort of data cleansing. And let me tell you, the effort with bringing the data into the cloud wasn't the big thing. It was making sure all the queries would always work and that you're pulling the data and you're able to match the data, because what you would find is anomalies in the data, and you're having to then adjust your queries and having to write these complex SQL statements to be able to filter out stuff, or figuring out how to sanitize the data before. We started off with traditional marketing. Radio was the initial way of communicating, and we used print ads and so forth. And what we found was it was very difficult to trace. And not only was it difficult to trace, but the customer acquisition cost was, we were running at about $1,100-$1,200, sometimes $1,600 to acquire a customer. And our lifetime value for a customer was at that time about $2,500. Okay. And so what you now have to do is service the customer for $900 or less, and be able to make a profit at it. And that just wasn't working, because our customer acquisition cost was too high. Our holding cost for the customer was too high. We needed to make a change. And we started really focusing on digital marketing, because we could then figure out where the ads were. And let me tell you, it's still not as transparent as possible, because, for example, Google AdWords, they don't really, Google doesn't allow you to see who the customer is. Facebook doesn't truly allow you to see who the customer is. They have the ability to actually build what they call lookalike campaigns, but they don't do it because as efficiently as you'd want, because they actually have all the data, and they could actually tell you who all your customers are based on customers that have closed. But they want to generate revenue, and so they want to make sure that they dumb it down a little bit, so that maybe 25%, 1 out of 4 matches your exact customer profile, and they're still presenting the ads and engagement to their entire Facebook ecosystem, but they're making sure that you're not fully benefiting from their data. Okay. And then I talked about the 50,000 zaps. We're saving about 1,700 hours per month, which is 10 full-time equivalents. What we also determined was, in order to get a true customer profile, you need a statistically significant amount of data. And we got to a point where 30,000 customers or prospects allowed us to build sufficient amount of data to be able to understand the clusters of who your customer profiles were. The other thing that was, and I never talked about this at our Flash Talk, but it is a phenomenal tool. We started looking at quality assurance. And what we took is all of our calls. We were only doing 150 QAs a month. So this is really the clients that we would enroll, or we'd handpick, or we'd just select a small subset of them. And what we ended up doing is we implemented this tool called Observe AI. Now, there's many tools on the market that do this, and they all do it slightly different. But what it does is it takes the call, it transcribes it. We build what are called moments or pattern recognition for various keywords. We look at the process adherence of a script. We look at positive customer sentiments, negative customer sentiments. We're able to have an auto QA form, so it listens to the call, it ranks the call. So then we know which calls to use for coaching the agents, to be able to let them know, hey, in this situation, you did really well. You got an automatic QA of 85%. And in this situation, you failed and you got 50, and you weren't following the script. You didn't ask the customer wasn't engaged, and you weren't asking the right questions to be able to figure out how to help and resolve them. Or maybe you were rushing and you were over talking them. You were talking over them. And those are the things that the tool is able to provide. And if I have some time, I may show you some of the dashboards. But what we have now done is we now have 15,000 calls that are automatically listened to. So the calls every hour get uploaded into the cloud from our phone system, which is a cloud-based phone system. So it goes from one cloud to another, and the calls are transcribed, and the analysis is done approximately 5 minutes after the hour. So it takes about 5 minutes to do 1,000 calls or 500 calls, 500 to 1,000 calls, and it comes up with these automatic reports. And so we've been able to and this is going to allow us to train better, to scale the business and so forth. I'll keep going, and one of the things that we determined, and this was a statement in our marketing class, is that half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half, and what we determined is it's not half. It's 5% of the money, or of 95% of the money that you spend is wasted, and it's only 5% that actually works, and you don't even know what that 5% is. And with digital marketing, you actually get closer to that, but it is unbelievable how much money you have to spend to learn, to get the scars, to get the understanding, to get the trial. You'd sit there and all of a sudden we spend $13,000 on a radio campaign for 1 week and get minimal results, right? We'd be, today we spend $20,000 a month on Facebook campaigns, and I can predict how much sales or enrollments we're going to get from that. And it's completely different game. It's a completely different way of tracking things. They're far more efficient, far better. Other thing here is we have, since we started, we implemented a chatbot, and I didn't realize the value of a chatbot. Now we have a Gen AI connected to the chatbot, so it's the conversation, it's learning the conversation, and it's adjusting the conversation. And remember, all these conversations are in Spanish, and so the clients are hitting us, and I didn't recognize how valuable this was. We went out and we built this very comprehensive chatbot. We brought in an external consultant who was doing chatbots for the real estate industry, coincidentally. And I went to a few of his webinars and I said, "Hey, do you do this? Can you help us set this up?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And his name is Smarty. And he's been doing technology for years. And he goes, "Okay, let me help you figure this out." We started utilizing his framework, and we customized it for the debt relief industry, and we implemented it. We started the project last March. It took us almost 2 months to implement the project. We have so many conversations built in that when it takes them through the whole process, and I had no idea how many people were communicating with us or needed to be communicated with, and we have 8,000 people who we don't even talk to. They talk to the chatbot, and then they book appointments with us, or they will make inquiries after that, or they'll just not even communicate with us, but we get them on our email marketing, and we're marketing to them, and we get very few opt-outs. And so I was just tremendously surprised about how many people are out there that are looking to be able to communicate without a human involved. Okay, and I didn't anticipate that. Now, the real results in a business is your revenue, and so we're predicting about $100 million of revenue. Now, not all of that is earned revenue, but we're expecting a tremendous growth. We had about 25 million for 2023, and we're expecting to go 4x for 2024. And we expect that we're going to grow that to about $1 billion in revenue in the next 5 to 7 years. And we are, at the pace of supporting and addressing and helping about 10,000 Hispanics per year. So this is kind of the summary of our business in data. And I think everyone here on the call will appreciate the effort or the data and what the data means and how you can utilize it to tell the story. Okay, what I wanted to do is I wanted to open it up to questions, and please let's go in. If I could get Ashley, if you could moderate, that would be wonderful. Is that a fair request?
Absolutely, I am here for you.
Okay.
So do you want to turn off your screen share?
Sure, I can turn it off.
Perfect.
Just once. Yeah. And I do have a couple things I may share again when we get into specific questions.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you so much for that. That was wonderful and enlightening. Really appreciate it. I got to hear you present in Boston and really enjoyed it there. And I'm excited that you were able to join us tonight. Thank you so much. With that, guys, we're going to open it up for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand and I will try to go in the order in which I see it go up. But if I get out of order, feel free to adjust and let me know. First, looks like Cesar, you're up.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Karim. I love this presentation. As some of you know, I work for Fidelity Investments, and I specifically help with people in retirement. And this subject is just fascinating for me. One of the things I would like to know is like how do you charge for your services? Is it like by subscription? Is it by one-on consultations?
Okay, so very, very easy. The business model is based on a percentage of their enrolled debt. So individuals get into a certain amount of credit card debt, medical bills. So it's all unsecured debt. Okay, and again, we have different solutions, but the primary one is around debt settlement. Okay, and it's the primary solution that most people will elect to. You can do consolidation loans and so forth. But at the end of the day, what they need is to be able to get out of debt from their creditors. And people have unfortunate situations. They lost their job, they live off of their credit cards, they no longer are able to pay it. And so what we do is we counsel them and we figure out what their budget is. We run their credits and we figure out all their debt. And what we do is we enroll them. So if an average customer, depending on the profile, will have, let's say, $20,000 worth of unsecured debt, and what we do is we help them, and we can negotiate anywhere between, with the relationship we have with the creditors, and we're getting more and more every day. We can help them reduce that debt by 40 to 60%. Okay, and so our fees go on top. And so our fees get paid through the savings. So we charge anywhere between 20 to 25% of their enrolled debt. And that's how we make money. But now one of the challenges that we have in this journey is that the individuals who are enrolled in our program aren't very financially stable. They're not disciplined. They have a drawer in their house where they get bills from the creditors, they get statements, they get collection notices, they get things from the IRS, that those bills go directly into that drawer and never get opened. Okay. And every one of our clients has this drawer. Okay. And so what you have is these clients will sometimes disappear on you and so forth. So the retention of these clients is key. And how do you keep them engaged? But that, if they fall through the whole program, we will get our fee, our whole fee, but it's again heavily regulated. We only get to take a percentage of our fee as they progress and resolve their debt, and they have to start paying their debt in order for us to collect a fee. So that's how we get paid. Did that help you understand the business model?
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Do you sell as well, like products besides that?
Yes. So we have ancillary products that for legal protection. So there's certain creditors that they have which are very litigious, and we recommend legal protection plans so that there's a lawyer who, for a low monthly fee, will step in. We have some other products that we're looking at with the bank cards and the secured credit cards, the credit monitoring. There's another solution we're rolling out, which is around scraping their private data off of public sites. Okay, and you would be surprised how many sites out there, would be 100 to 200 sites that have your personal private information that you put somewhere in a form that gets all over the internet. Okay. And there's lots of different solutions that we're looking to grow the business around. And these are ancillary products that, make a few percentage points, but add a lot of value.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, I have down Adolfo next, and then we'll go to Susan, and then we'll go to Victor.
So thanks, Karim. We chatted a little bit when we were in school last in December, and I had a bunch of questions. We didn't have a lot of time, but I'm going to limit my questions to only one. During your story, you mentioned that you became a fintech company, and so my question is, how did that change your mindset, and how did that change your business model? And what were you before? I mean, what was the moment, what was the insight that told you, oh, we're a fintech company? But how did that journey go for you, Karim?
Okay. So, the realization came when we started amassing a lot of data on our clients, and that we started just running the business off of business data. When you have a startup, this is one of the hardest things, and you try to you can't run a startup with a standard P&L, okay? Because a lot of times you have no P, right? There's no profit, and so how do you run a P&L, a standard company? I've run companies and there's no profit, and so what do you do? And so what you do is you utilize the data to actually figure out, are you in the right direction? Are you hitting enough customers? Are you doing the right steps? What's the response that you want? How do you predict what a customer is going to do? What actions are going to take? And that's what we started looking at this, and we're gathering all this data. And then I started looking at it and saying, okay, what is it that the industry is missing? When we started talking about pulling the data from the client's bank account so that, through authorization, of course, that all of a sudden we'd be able to get their spending habits and be able to understand them as a person, as what they're doing, and are they being fiscally responsible as they're coaching. That's when I determined that we were really a fintech company, because everything that we're doing is digital. Right there, we don't even send them a paper contract. Everything, from the day of the engagement is digital. And so and trying to do something with that data, that's when I determined we were a fintech company.
All right, thanks. Best wishes on your scaling process. I want to see a couple more zeros there, and I think you guys.
So do I. We're really impatient, but then we kind of look in the rearview mirror and say, hey, we got to get a reality check, because we're doing okay, right? We have a good pace, and we want to be able to definitely grow, but we don't want to be hasty.
Well, thanks for sharing your experience. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the question.
All right, Susan, you're up.
Yeah, so Karim, thank you. This is so cool, and love hearing more about that one slide where you have all your numbers. That was so cool. So I have a question, because we have a few people on the call tonight that are thinking about joining HBAP, but they haven't decided yet. So my question to you is, boiling it all down on HBAP, what were the top 3 things that you learned or participated in HBAP that caused you to have the success that you're having right now in this company?
So, there's the value of the network. One is the relationships you form and the perspective. As you sit in the classes, whether it's Karim's class or you sit in a class for the data science and the algorithms, one of the things that you recognize is that there's so many people who have a different perspective to you and a similar perspective. And what you're starting to figure out is you start seeing a problem in a very different light. And one of the things that I noticed is that it helped me analyze a problem much better and looking at all facets, right? Not only my view or what I knew, but actually looking at a different view. You know, we had a lot of classes on diversity and so forth. And one of the things that we've done, so it's not just me, it's Juan Carlos, my business partner, is we've made sure that we have diversity throughout our organization, because we understand that the value of a solution when we have a problem is when you have many people with different perspectives, different upbringing, different different situations, and they come up with, you'll be surprised about some of the solutions and ideas that come up, and they're not yours, right? But it's up to you to take those ideas and execute on them, and it's phenomenal because you get free consulting, so to speak, from your employees, and you're able to do it. But again, it's taking how we learned and how we solved problems and looked at the cases in HBAP that helped me shape, how do I want to solve this problem? Who do I want in the room to give me an answer? And I'll bring someone else who never has been in the role, that doesn't know what we're talking about, and we'll explain it to them. And all of a sudden they'll say, "Hey, did you guys think about this?" And all of a sudden everyone looks at each other in the room and says, "No," right? And so it's actually very interesting. But so the network, the perspective, and again, the network is how I met Juan Carlos, and some of the learnings, like one of the things going to HBAP was, there is no limit, right? I always thought there's a limit in terms of business. There's a limit in terms of what you can do. There's no limit, right? Once you get into a certain point, there is no limit. It's really what you want.
Thank you, Karim. And with that, Victor, I believe it is your turn.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks, Ashley. And Karim, thank you for presenting to us tonight. I don't have a question, just an observation. I think as I listen to this, the way you have weaved your tech stack together and your workflows, and the way you've gathered and squeezed the juice out of all the data that you have and that you will continue to find and squeeze out, that's a success story in itself. I mean, it just you could probably sell a user manual, not on your subject matter, but on your methods and means of doing what you've done, that now are going to support what will, to your words, be a billion-dollar business in a few years. That's an incredible story. So congratulations to you and your partner and team.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that we have to test our process of deploying technology. Really, what we do is we look at a problem and we say, is the technology going to help us? And if we can deploy it quickly, we know we're going to make a ton of mistakes, okay? But what we know is that we're going to learn so much in the process, and we know that we can pull the ripcord and pull the technology out if it's not working. But what we found is that the speed of execution is the key. We could sit and we can theorize and put a fantastic plan together and spend 3 months to do the plan. But I'd rather just say, okay, let's get the training, let's figure it out, let's start playing with it, let's get the data in there, and let's learn as we're going and allocate resources and time for it. And so thank you very much for your question. If I can share my tech stack, I think it's interesting. It's interesting. To me, it's interesting. I hope it's interesting to you. So I'm going to just share my desktop here. Give me a second. And this is the Observe AI tool, but I want to share the tech stack. I had it accessible. Sorry. I didn't mean to take your time. Give me 1 second here, and I will just call it up. Okay. So this is our tech stack. And what I look at is I categorize it by the category, whether it's social, like, so I'll go through this so you can see it. And then I look at the different departments that utilize it and who the owner within the organization is. And so, for example, from a social media standpoint, I have all of the different platforms we use, from developing content, from a marketing standpoint, from a web standpoint, how we handle our meetings. So all of these different tools, and you can see there's a gap here because I actually have removed stuff, and I never just removed the line. But we look at how we do different things, and it goes on and on, and it's just absolutely amazing how many of these tools we start using on a daily basis, right? Like I'll give you an example. All of our mail, we don't touch a physical piece of paper. If we want to send a letter out, letter is digitally sent out. Okay. If we want mail coming in, the mail is digitally brought to us. It comes to it comes to a Dropbox, like a mail drop, and it gets scanned. We get access to it. It goes through OCR. We take it. We classify with the client's into the client's file, and so we're not even touching any of this stuff, right? How we're transferring data. So it just goes on and on in regards to different applications, and the number will increase as we go through this. So I just wanted to show you that. And then I'll take a second, and I want to be sensitive of everyone's time too. So this is our tool that analyzes all of our phone calls. So right here in this subset, I have about 1,900 calls, but I want to just show you it'll do a coaching evaluation. And what I want to be able to look at is, let me just go to reporting. And there's some phenomenal data that you can see. Give me a second. I had this. I'm not connected. So the value of software and what the underlying technology is that we looked at this. We implemented this tool just recently, and we have 12,000 calls that's analyzed, and 11,000 of those 12,000 calls are failing. Well, we look at it and we look at, well, we're actually getting better and better, because we're really harsh on the level of what passes or what fails, because we want to get to the point where the customer experience, we take the customer through a journey. And so you were able to look at things. And what it does is it looks at the different agents. It tells us where to focus. It actually goes in and says, what do you want to coach on? And this is in Spanish. So if someone reads Spanish, you can actually go through this. But is the agent offering financial health? Is the agent transferring the call, the right quality of call, right? So it goes through, and it has areas of opportunity for improvement, and looks at this. And it's just another dashboard, but the value is the data underneath, and looking at how we can actually improve the agents. So what we ended up doing is putting all of this in place. And then as we put this in place, we're implementing the coaching sessions, so that within 3 to 6 months, we'll see a dramatic improvement in the business. Okay. So that's I'll stop sharing now, but that was one of there's so many tools out there that can do these marvelous things.
Karim, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's wonderful to see, and truly a picture's worth 1,000 words. Apologies. I'm not sure if it was Grazina or Rashini, his hand who went up first. Does anyone know? All right, Rashini, then we will go to you.
All right. Thanks, Ashley. Hi, Karim. Thanks for this excellent presentation. And I love the dashboard that you just shared. It's already triggering a lot of ideas in my head on what I should be doing in the right way. My one question I had for you is, when you were realizing that, your business was changing, right? And you were investing in these tools and investing in like the chatbot and stuff. given how different that is from your initial thought and initial industry, how did you decide on certain technology that you wanted to invest in for your company, right? Like, how did you go about doing that research, or did you see others doing it and therefore you realized the value of it for your company, right? How did you make that decision on that investment?
Okay, great question. So a lot of Google searching, a lot of going through different websites, a lot of YouTube videos to sit there and first of all, sometimes you don't know what you need, right? And so you go into a category and you start looking at what is possible and what's easy. And then you look at who uses it in the industry. You look at feedback from customers, and then you look at ease of implementation. And then you talk to the vendor and you look at how cost effective it is. Some of the tools we chose on price, some of the tools because it was a standard functionality, and then some of the tools we chose based on some young hungry companies. There's a tool we use called Lead Sales. And Lead Sales is a tool that allows us to communicate through WhatsApp to all of our customer base, but it allows all my agents to see the communication. When a message comes in and it has Kanban boards, and when a message comes in and we don't respond in 4 hours, it turns the message red so that we can alert the agent to be able to respond and to give a quicker customer response. And these are the tools that we engaged in because the companies out of Mexico, and they're just going out for funding and to Silicon Valley, and they started getting some funding, and we looked at them and said, hey, these guys are going somewhere. We want these tools. Then I looked at, we're in the process of implementing HubSpot for customer service. And I said, okay, who are the two market leaders? Which one can I afford? Right? Which one do I want to afford? And our full-time equivalent. So we have I look at it this way: a full-time equivalent to us is $500 to $700 a month. Okay, yes, that's the right number. $500 to $700 a month. That's one of the reasons why we're in the Dominican Republic, is that we can scale quickly because of the labor costs. Right? If we're doing this in the U.S., our investment would be 10x what we've spent. We've spent about $3 million in investment so far of our own money. And what we've found is that if I can spend $500 and it can back out someone a position, I would rather spend the $500 and back that position out and not have to hire a person, because software doesn't go on vacation. Software doesn't have mood swings. Well, software doesn't have to go for lunch. Right. And it's reliable once you put in the rules. And that's how we look at selecting the vendors.
Thank you.
Rosina,
Yes, thank you.
on to you.
Hey, Karim, nice to hear
Hello.
your extended version of your business story. So my question is, how long does your client stay a paying client? So on average, how soon do they get to pay off the debt? And then are you offering or planning to offer then some education or wealth building tools or accounts or anything to switch from now debt is relieved and then the client just leaves, or what's the plan there?
They're great questions. So one of the things is a lot of clients are habitual. And what we find in this industry is that they become a client after 3 years again. Okay, we haven't been doing this that long, but one of the things, because this is an easy way out for some in regards to some of their debt. And that's not really what we're trying to encourage. We're trying to encourage them to fix their problem in financial education and so forth. So first thing is the client stays with us on average for 36 months. We're looking at how we can have them stay with us longer in regards to other solutions that are not resolving their debt, but through improving their financial health. We don't do any investment coaching yet, but we do have all these courses. So they get anyone who comes to us I can post it for all of you as well, is that you can subscribe to our platform. It's in English and Spanish, and you can go through 70 courses on financial health. Okay, so we give that to a lot of our clients, and what we find is that the engagement is not as high as I want. So we're looking at how do we use the drip marketing to take a snippet, a lesson that we learned in one of the modules, and blast it out on a weekly basis with a link back to the to the education, so that what we can do is really start helping them solve their problems. What we are also doing, one of the things that we're looking at is that we have monthly calls with all the clients, and we're educating our customer service team to start going through and doing a budget review and start giving them tips on how they can help themselves. And those are things that we're working on. And as we go forward, we're going to evolve more and more solutions.
Right.
Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Well,
All right. I think we had a few questions come up in chat, Kareem, and I want to make sure that I give them a little attention. So Lolita asked how much time it took to build the dashboards that you displayed.
so those ones, I have to be honest, they came out of the box, okay, with the software. The ones that I built for our business, and I don't have them easily accessible, is those took, they're always evolving. Like, I'm always tweaking the dashboards. So I'll build a version, and I'll look at it, and I don't like it, I'll build another version. And so I'm always tweaking the dashboards continuously, trying to look at how to look at the data a little bit differently based on maybe creating different views of the data.
Thank you. And then Susan also mentioned asking what was the company called before HubSpot?
Well, the company we're using HubSpot for the customer service product. I don't know what
Lead sales. Lead sales.
Yeah, lead sales. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Lead sales. Yeah, lead sales.
Yeah. Okay.
A phenomenal tool. Okay. Is there another question?
Yes, we do have another hand up. I want to be mindful of time. Kareem, are you able to stay around for more questions?
I am.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, Stephanie, we're coming to you.
My hand get lowered.
Hey guys. Oh, Mafe, I did see it up, but it was down.
Yeah.
We'll come to you after Stephanie.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Kareem, that's a wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm in the brand new cohort number 23. I just started at HBAP. So this is really inspirational. I had two questions for you, and I might have missed this at the beginning. I was a little bit late. When you first wanted to start this idea that you had with Juan Carlos, I think is his name, how much did you need at capital? How much capital did you need at the very beginning to get started? That was my first question. And the second question was, out of all of your business's expenses, what percentage of it is the 76 applications, your tech stack? Like, how much is that costing you?
Okay, great question. So Juan Carlos had already purchased the business, and when I came and met him, one of the things is with COVID, we were at a point where the marketing wasn't working, and everything that was being spent in marketing was out of his pocket. And so when I first met him, he was into the company at about 1.1 million. And when I came in, I basically came in and we started just working, right? And neither one of us was getting paid. So if you look at the investment from that perspective, there's a whole amount. But at the end of the day, we're now into $3 million of hard dollars. Okay, the money out of the pocket that was spent. And part of it, I'll tell you, majority of the money was spent on marketing. Okay. And the problem is that it's really expensive to learn this way. And you can go out and you can get consultants or you can get other people who've done it before, but at the end of the day, you have to spend the money and you have to try and you have to pilot and pilot. And so we were doing $5,000 pilots all day long, and people would tell us, oh, $5,000 is not enough. But it's enough to figure out a direction. And, you know, marketing is not expensive if there's results. And when there's no results, it's the most expensive thing. Okay. And so the tech stack probably costs, now I'm spending approximately $15,000 a month on all the software tools. Okay. All right. And part of this problem is this, it's hard because some of it is operational costs more so than just tech stack. But, you know, the software tools aren't really that expensive when you look at the grand scheme of operating the company, because the salaries are a lot, and the marketing we're spending close to $70,000 a month on marketing. And we're going to, you know, in the new year, this year, we're expecting to be spending about $150,000 a month in marketing. And again, it's a drop in the bucket, right, of what other people in the industry spend. We know that at a point we will get to $1 million of spend a month in marketing. And that to me is a significant volume. And in another business many years ago, that's what we used to spend. Okay. Does that answer your questions?
It does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Mafe.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. So Karim, because of this high learning, high cost of learning for this market, would you consider opening another market as a result of this?
Yes. You know, I enjoy building companies. It's just the growth phase is what I like. I like being able to put the strategy together and be able to see and execute on the strategy and see the results. So that's what drives me. It's not for everyone because there's a lot of trial and error, and sometimes you can't predict. Most of the time you can't predict. But when you start being able to predict, it's such a good feeling.
And you have this, you're solving a very crucial problem. And it's not just happening in the Hispanic community, it also is happening in the Asian community. And so that's why I asked my question. And I'd like to continue my conversation with you maybe later, okay, tomorrow. Sure. Sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, targeting another market, it's just about how, once you have, like, you know, we've been talking about targeting the English-speaking market. And the question is have we done everything that we can in the Spanish market? Have we exploited it? We haven't. We will start exploring the English-speaking market when we feel confident that we will be better than everyone else who's already in that market. And one of the reasons I didn't talk about it, but one of the reasons that we stayed in the Hispanic market was there was a lot of companies. There's about 200 companies in this market space, all different shapes and sizes and so forth. And about 5 companies own the space, the majority of the space. So we're probably in, you know, we're not a small player anymore, but we're not a big player, and there's tremendous growth to be able to get a big player. But I know that because the market is underserved, there's a lot of room for growth, and these bigger companies aren't agile enough to do what we can do. And so I believe that we have maybe 18 months to be able to capture before they wake up, and we're gonna work hard to become a big player.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mafe. So in the interest of time, Karim, I think we're going to start winding it down, but we do have another question in chat, and it's asking from Lolita, on expanding the business? Have you explored a partnership option where we give commissions to people that help bring in more clients?
Oh, absolutely. So we have we've started our first affiliate, which is selling or enrolling clients into our program. And we're doing it, we're tackling the English market through an affiliate. So the entry point will be into our customer service department. A lot of our departments are bilingual. And so we can handle it, but we haven't divided our marketing funds or any of that. So yes, we're working with companies that will bring us business.
Thank you. And with that, we'll go ahead and take one more question. And I think it was from the mystery caller, iPhone 11. I'm really looking forward to seeing who's on the other end.
Oh, hi, Ashley. Thank you so much. This is Jan. I am outside, so I wasn't using my computer to see my name. I appreciate it. Karim, thank you so much. I believe you're the pioneer of the fintech in HBAP, isn't it? Anybody?
I think there's a few more.
Oh, really? I thought you're probably the biggest one. Is that right?
No, I think there's definitely some big players in our space.
So you do have like competitors in later on, not now, right? Okay. Thank you so much to share your story. My question, only one. I like to know, since you have spent so much money on the marketing and then maintain your operation, and then you get so much income costs and then registration clients with you on your data collection, what was the percentage of those clients that you have selected, which is you think it's a low risk for your businesses? And could you give us a little, a range? Not exactly, because that probably a secret of your business, isn't it?
Sorry, a range of what? So I make sure I understand your question.
Percentage. So the part that you collect quality clients versus the whole collection of your clients online, like automatic income costs. What was the percentage of that?
Okay, so from a marketing standpoint, we're running at about 2.5% of people who interact with us become customers. And out of those customers who are the really good customers that they follow the program, they listen to what we're saying, it's about I think 36%. What we find is we get a lot of cancellations because there's no commitment. There's no there's no commitment. So we get the industry average is about 40% of the clients who enroll will drop during their program. They won't complete their program right to completion. And a lot of that happens in the first 3 or 4 months. The majority of that happens in the first 3 or 4 months. We are looking at ways to tackle that problem in regards to the incentives that we give in terms of educational incentives, certificates, things that we do some guidance. How do we help the client? Because what we want is, we know that a client, once they get past month 4, that they will stay for the majority of the program. And those are the strategies that we're looking at. And again, you don't really know until you get data of what the pattern is and what works. But we definitely know that it's every business has a challenge, and our challenge here is how do you retain those customers when the customers disappear on you?
Right.
Yeah.
So what was the regional coverage right now, since you're scaling around your market is automatic call in? What was the region coverage right now, your business?
Like where in the US?
Yeah, well, you say you're in Mexico or South America,
just in the
right?
US. No, just in the US.
Okay.
Our business, our office is located in the Dominican Republic. That's where I am right now. And And we target all of the U.S. states, but the majority, there's 21 states where the Hispanic population really resides. And again, going in and looking at where your customers reside and how do you market to your customers.
Wow, very nice. Thank you so much. It looks like right now it's like a mystery. You got all these people coming in and you don't know who they are until you analyze them and then categorize them, right? Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's fun.
Thank you.
Isn't it?
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, of course.
So everyone,
Thank
in
you.
the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and close out the recorded session. Just a reminder to everyone that we are recording this and it will be posted to YouTube. Karim, really appreciate you coming in and speaking with us tonight. I know it was short notice, and it just really speaks to how well you know your business that you could do this for us with just a little bit of preparation time. And we're eternally grateful that you came and shared the knowledge. And with that, everyone, we do have one really great question lingering in chat. And it seems like Susan has a closing remark, and then.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ashley. Yeah.
I was only going to say that we would end the recorded session, but then go into overtime. And happy to announce that Todd Browse just joined the party, so he can lead us in overtime this evening.
Yep. So awesome. And
thank
Todd,
you, Susan
we
and
hear
Ashley.
all about, and Todd, we want to hear all about how it went. But Karim, this was just wonderful, and thank you. I mean, so many learnings. And are you up for coming back and talking about like some of kind of what you've learned and what didn't work, and what advice would you have for those of us that are kind of kicking off new businesses, whether it's a new company or within our own bigger companies? That would be incredible if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, we'd love the opportunity. And Juan Carlos really wanted to join tonight. He just wasn't able to, but he definitely said that if we're able to do this again, he wants to be able to give his perspective, because his perspective is definitely different from mine. And he's the big vision guy. I'm the data guy, and I'm the executor, and he's the one. And this is where this is a really important thing. These partnerships, they work or they don't work, right? And the reason ours works is that we provide, we look at the problem differently, and what's interesting is we agree. We don't even have to, like, we have no disagreements, because we know that each one is doing what's best for the company, and we tackle the problem differently. And so, I can convince him, he can convince me, and we come up with consensus and move forward. And that's one of the keys in partnership of a startup. That's very important, valuable.
Well,
that's so awesome. And it was also very cool to hear about your viewpoints on diversity, and how important that is. So thank you so much again. It was awesome. So back to Ashley, and we'll continue on overtime, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Karim, if you have more time, please feel free to hang out and spend some time with us. We do still have a great question in the chat. But with the interest of time and everyone's evening in mind, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and we will proceed with overtime.